everybody, and welcome to the 108th edition of the Chronicles of Podcast. And these right here are the Chronicles of Tom Mayhew. It is I, the bearded brummy Jamie, and joining me, as always, this handsome fella right here.
It's a Scotsman Tom, and welcome to the Chronicles of Podcast. Hit it!
Hi there, you're about to enjoy the Chronicles of Tom and Jamie.
Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Mann.
Hey guys, my name's Annabelle Knight.
Hello, this is Becky Baldwin.
Hello, I'm Chesney.
Hey, what's up everyone? This is Braden from Say We Can Fly.
Hello, I'm Tom Mayhew, a stand-up comedian and writer, and this is the Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie, and it's a really good episode. Oh, you're going to have a great time, especially if you like building.
I'm going to have lots of flames. Get trunks with flames on, knee pads with flames on, and boots with flames on.
Join us as we welcome you to the Chronicles of Tom Mayhew.
Stop eating avocados. Now, I'll be straight with you guys. I've never bought an avocado. Do they cost 500 grand?
This week, we are joined by Tom Mayhew. Tom is a critically acclaimed comedian who mixes the material about working class mixed with personal, the silly, and a little bit of the political. He's a stand-up comedian, a comedy performer, a writer, and an actor. His Edinburgh Fringe show, I, Tom Mayhew, was critically acclaimed and led to a sold-out show at the Soho Theatre in January 2020, which then went on to be adapted into a Radio 4 series. Absolute little minute capsule, a little soupçon of this man's career. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, this is a good conversation. It's quite mental. With going to cement school, wanting to be Dizzy from Bob the Builder, to then trying to force me to be Daniel Bryan Danielson, whatever, and so on and so forth. So yeah, this is a great interview. Just bear with. Like, we do get into Tom's career, we do get into Tom's life a bit later down, but it's just all sorts of nuts, and it's fucking great. So
are they the best ones? They
always are the best ones. They always are the best ones. It's wonderful. And Tom's done some amazing things. It's just so shit how it's like, you've got a sold out Soho Theatre show. Congratulations. Now the world shut down.
Yeah.
And yeah, crazy. But this is a great conversation. Tom, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to sit and chat to us. We absolutely loved it. It was wonderful. But Jamie!
Yes, sir.
Do you have any final words at all?
Just a big old massive thank you to Mr. Mayhew for spending the time to come and chat with us. It means the absolute world, sir.
Absolutely. We know that you're all going to really enjoy and love this one. Trust us. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, interviewing this week, it's Tom Mayhew. Wow.
Your back drops. I feel a bit underdressed now.
Hey, you're all good. You're all good. We do it. It would just look a bit, I don't know. We know when you try and take something to the next level sort of thing. So it's like, well, let's update it a little bit and make it look a bit more snazzy rather than just, like a wall. If you're like, yeah, you know what I mean? So
I'm going to have to get one. Not the same, but I'm going to get one with just like, make it like a TV studio or something.
Oh, such a great idea. You should get the I, Tom Mayhew poster.
Yeah, I might do that actually.
Or then Ken Loach might be like, I think you've stolen my movie.
No, I've always been like, I don't think he would sue me because clearly I've not got any money. Like,
which is, but then it's Ken Loach. You'd probably be like, that's incredible. I love the fact that you've done that.
No, yeah, I think I did. When I did the show in Edinburgh, I did check with them just to sort of make sure. I was like, I'm not basically some posh guy taking the piss. I kind of explained what it was, and they seemed all right with it. I think they'd have to be particularly. Like, I don't think it'd be a good PR move for them to go, oh, yeah, we want to sue the guy on benefits. So
Unless they were obviously Tory wankers, they'd be like, "I'll go rinse you for everything you've got, mate."
Exactly. Yeah. That was a little test I did. Yeah.
Lovely. So, but obviously you've done podcasts before. You have your own fucking one. But anyway, just a quick rundown. Jamie's gonna do like a really nice introduction and like lure you into some sort of like false sense of security where you're gonna feel quite safe and at home. And then what we're gonna do is absolutely pepper the fuck out of you with questions. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Let's get a little introduction out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, today we bring you another wonderful guest. Today's guest is a critically acclaimed comedian and podcaster. He's a comedian known for his material about being working class, something that's propelled him to heights like an outstanding Edinburgh Fringe show, a Soho Theatre run, a BBC radio series, and more. The only man I've ever seen turn himself into a banknote to promote a show. The man the Daily Mail described as a Tory-hating lefty. What an accolade. Ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, put your hands together and join us as we welcome you to the Chronicles of Tom Mayhew.
Pleasure.
Hello, do I say hello at this point or?
Okay, yeah. You can say whatever you wish now, Tom. We're in.
It's so weird. You do such a sort of big introduction. It's just me awkwardly going, "You're right." So...
There should be some like pyro or something, like pyrotechnics, or a bit of confetti falls down or something,
or like some like entrance music, like it's WWE or something. That's what we need.
I'll wait for the day I do one of them intros, and then the guest just does one all about me in return. I'll be like, "Oh, I like this. This is good."
Jamie Westwood has nice glasses, and he's got a nice beard, and his backdrop's really nice. And I've only met him for about 2 minutes, but he seems all right.
I'll take it. That's a win.
What WWE theme music would you have?
Oh, mate, that's a question. That is a question. Does it have to be one that someone has already used, or can it be just any song?
Whatever you want.
I mean, I'd be tempted for something ridiculous like Bob the Builder.
I get everyone chatting along. Yes.
Yeah, and just doing it completely straight your face, completely like, yeah, it's Bob the Builder, mate. What of it? Like, I don't reference it, and just
nothing to be explained here. Just everyone just chants along, and then we crack on with the death.
Yeah. What would you guys have?
Oh.
I mean, Daniel Bryan's been like my hero for years and years. So
you've got a look of Daniel Bryan about you.
Oh, the Usos. When I met the Usos in 2015, Tommy looked like Bray Wyatt. I was like, really? But there we are.
No, I think you've got the beard. You've got the beard, I'd say.
Yeah, it's because I mimic him. That's the only reason I grew it so long. Was like that's what I'm going for. So I'd probably, but he's been using the Final Countdown AEW, so I'd probably go with that.
Mm-hmm.
Too much choice out there, isn't there? But it's me. I'm a huge Kiss fan. I'd probably just have Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss, because why not? It's going to represent me, so that'll do.
I mean, thinking about it, I like the idea of there being a wrestler whose entrance music is just like their Spotify on shuffle.
It's so good. And you've got that random embarrassing one, that guilty pleasure, where we go, "Oh shit, forward."
Oh no, people know I listen to Westlife now. God.
Coming down to the ring by You're Beautiful by James Blunt.
It's true. It's just there like, yep, yes, I know.
Yep.
Anyway, let's go back. How has the last few years been for you, Tom, with the pandemic and everything? Like, how's everything been for you?
I mean, it kind of feels like it's entirely changed the industry in a way that I don't feel like many people either talk about or notice. Like, I do feel like it still has hit numbers in terms of audience numbers, in terms of people who are going out, in terms of people who are doing stuff, because it changed all our habits. You know, we all went from maybe being the person who went out every fortnight to see something to going, oh, I can stay indoors. And I think a lot of people are still in that indoorsy mode, and they might never come out of it. I don't know. Like, I know some people who they've not been to a music gig for about 3 years, and I'm like, well, are you ever going to go back to one? Because they're just so used to not doing it now. So it's made it a bit strange in terms of trying to organise live stuff and doing live shows. I still don't feel like my one barometer for it really was the fact that in 2020 in January I did like a sold out run at Soho Theatre for 3 nights, and I've not managed to do anything like that since. So in my head I feel like it's back where it should be when I'm back at that level, but there's part of me that still feels like I'm chasing that, which is a bit it's a bit sad 3 years on, and a bit frustrating really. Yeah.
I don't, from the sounds of it though, I don't think it's because of you. I think it's because, like you say, everybody's like, I don't think I really want to go out anymore. I think I quite like it like this now. I've got used to this. So like nightclubs aren't really a thing anymore. Not that I know of anyway. Do you know what I mean? That sort of industry kind of like died. I think there's people that don't go to, like, with festivals and stuff, they just won't. So I think it's more the fact that people are a bit too still like, it's still the thing. So I'm good. I'm actually quite like it. And now we all work from home. I think everyone's getting used to that as well. So like, I mean, I work from home and it's like, I don't need to really go anywhere unless I need some food. I'm good.
Do you ever forget to leave the house for like weeks?
There's been times where it's like, have I actually breathed fresh air in the last week? I don't think I have. I forgot what it tastes like.
Never for a crazy amount of time, but there have been times in the past couple of years where I have maybe gone like 7 days and not gone anywhere, and you kind of go, oh shit, oh god, I forgot I'm supposed to do that, just because you're so used to going, no, I can just watch something on Netflix or on YouTube or listen to a podcast, that you just go, I'll do that, and then you go, oh no, I need to remember that human beings to exist should probably leave the house. And maybe what I need to start doing is playing some entrance music as I leave the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some exit music.
Yeah.
Just play a Brock Lesnar's theme song or something. That'll really get you fucking going, won't
it? Why is Tom so angry?
Why is he jumping from foot to foot a lot? That's weird. It's not like him at all.
I was going to say the neighbours like, oh, I can hear Bob the Builder again. Tom's going to shops.
Yeah.
But speaking of Bob the Builder, kind of lends beautifully to my next question in a very weird way. I always like to start this talking about childhood and what you aspired to be when you were growing up. So what was the original aspirations for yourself when you were growing up? What were the dreams of young Master Mayhew for a career?
Well, I used to watch Bob the Builder, and I really wanted to be Dizzy. I didn't want to be a builder. I wanted to be a sentient cement mixer, ideally. Imagine if I just fronted that out for the rest of the podcast. I wanted to be a sentient cement mixer, and it was a really tough first 15 years, to be honest. Like,
I could make myself dizzy, but I could just never make the cement and stuff.
I was trying. I tried to mix around in my mouth and stuff. It just wasn't working. Like,
I love the idea of you spinning around really quickly and then trying to smash it together. Like, no, still haven't quite mastered it yet.
Come on, just 3 more years. We'll get there. We'll be able to do it.
Is there a college this sort of thing?
But yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I was going to say level 2 is like the next like sort of ingredients to make, like, I don't know, thicker cement. I don't really know. I've never been to cement school before. So...
Cement school.
I don't think anyone's been to cement school. I think that's the truth.
We should start one. Fuck it. Oh.
Mate, I'll be the first one signing up. I'll be straight there.
Now,
finally, my place.
When you use the shovel, make sure you spread evenly and then bring back towards you in a nice smooth motion.
Oh, you could be the teacher. You're good at this.
That's like, no. How do you actually mix it? Get a barrel and just like a tumbler, just really just to pour at it like a cat, and it should spin around fast enough you'll be able to mix the cement, and then like I said, spread evenly with a shovel. I don't know where I'm going with this, Tom, to be honest with you. I think I should have left that alone about 5 minutes ago.
No, I think you should have dug as deep as you could into it. I think it's fine. But yeah, when I was younger, I didn't really have an actual dream job. I was just kind of like, I wanted to just get a job, like, because my parents, like, my mum just worked at Boots and my dad just worked in like a drinks warehouse place. So I never really was like, oh, I know I want to do this big thing or that thing, because I just saw what my parents did, and I was probably just a very realistic kid who was just like, well, we'll probably end up doing something like that for a bit while you work out what you might want to do. And I eventually did. Like, I eventually did work in Sainsbury's for about 3 years, and that was probably what I always thought I would be doing as a kid, something like that. But I always liked writing. I always liked writing stuff, and I like the idea of creating little worlds and writing my little stories. And I think even as a kid, like, English was the one thing I was good at school, and so I probably always deep down was like, I want to write something. And I never knew in what context or what world or anything like that. And it just ended up being comedy when I was a teenager, I suppose.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you find people that enjoy creative writing and things like that. They can go in so many different avenues. Like, it's so many different places it can take you. And I love the fact it led you towards comedy. But one thing... Oh, sorry.
And I was just going to say, I remember when I did a course once talking about different avenues, and the teacher there was like, oh no, for this part of the course, you have to do Gothic poetry, because she was a big fan of Gothic poetry. And it was that thing where people who don't know maybe the ins and outs of writing might just go, oh, it's creative writing, you must love it. And I was like, I don't give a crap about Gothic poetry, mate. Like that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for talking about poetry. Just for, if you like it, great. But it is that thing where I think some people who aren't in the creative world might just go, oh, it's creative writing, you must love all of it. Whereas I know plenty of people who love comedy and they'll hate plays, or they'll love plays and they'll hate live music or whatever. Like, it's such a nuanced thing, and there's so many different types.
That's always fine with school. It's always like, you're 6 or 7 and go, so what do you want to be when you get older? And like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to? Then you get to 16. It's like, well, you've got to decide what you're going to do for university. Now you go, well, I basically like girls and masturbation. Is that a thing? Like, you know what I mean? You get to that sort of age, then it's drinking at 18 and it's going out all the time. It's nuts how they expect you at such a young age to be like, right, decide your life now. Okay, well, I like boats. It's like some of the most randomest shit that's coming into your head. Like, I went to university at 21 and to do criminology, and I do nothing to do with criminology. I work in fucking events. It's just so nuts how you have to decide the rest of your life at such a young age.
How did you go from boats and masturbation to criminology?
I don't know, Tom, to be honest with you. I think there's something wrong with me, if I'm really honest. It's just the random spouty shit that just comes out of my face every now and again. I just jump from one avenue to the other. There's no real context behind it all. It's just a road. As soon as I start talking, all these roads start opening up. So I'm like, well, I'll just take that one. And then I'm going to this one. There we go. That'll do that. So that's literally how that happened.
I've just got an image of you rocking up for the first day of university. You've got like a sailor's hat on your head. You've got a roll of tissue in your hand, and you sit down and go, oh no, it's the wrong course.
Whilst trying to get the tissue off my hand and can't.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, not again. Not again. You know. Like,
I've got a crime for you to solve, lads. Who stuck this tissue to my hand?
Turns out it was me. Anyway, so where did the love of comedy come from then? Is it always? Is there anybody that you saw when you were younger that you aspired to be, like, any influences in any way?
I think I watched a lot of sitcoms with my parents, and back then there'd always be sitcoms on the BBC that repeated a lot, and everything from like Keeping Up Appearances to Last of the Summer Wine to Blackadder and Only Fools and Horses and My Family and all these sorts of different ones from different eras, and we just watched them as a family and really enjoy them, and so it just meant I had a real love of comedy that I saw on telly, and then that would eventually grow into things like panel shows, whether it was Never Mind the Buzzcocks or QI on Mock the Week. And I think probably eventually through Mock the Week is where I first got into stand-up comedians, because that was probably the first time I saw it presented in a way where it went, oh, here's a panel show and there's a bit of stand-up, and you go, oh, that's a new thing, that's quite exciting. And then you find out these people are comedians, and it probably just came through basically watching stuff on the BBC, to be honest.
Was there ever a desire to learn to be an actor, to be in sitcoms, or was it always stand up?
I liked doing drama at school. I really enjoyed that. That was probably the first kind of performance stuff I ever really did. I never took part in school plays or anything, so it was a bit weird when I did drama and everyone thought I was going to be crap at it, and I was really good at it. So I enjoyed that, and I liked that aspect of playing different roles and playing parts. And I wouldn't mind doing some acting at some point, but it's always felt like in my brain I've always been like, right, prioritize that part of your career. And it's so hard making a career in the arts. And there's part of me that goes, well, if you try and be a comedian and an actor, that just means you've got twice the opportunity to get rejected for doing stuff. And it means you have to work, twice as hard and you don't want to split your energies two ways, I suppose. You don't want to kind of feel like you're half going for acting, half going for comedy. So I was right, go comedy first, because that was the one that I thought I can write it, I can do it straight away. Whereas with acting, if you want to write it as well, you've got to write a whole bloody play really before you can put it on. It feels like a much longer stretch for something you have to do, or at least from my awareness of it as an industry. Like, I'm still not massively up on that as an industry, because I've always been like, oh, comedy, that seems, all right. You just write a joke, you apply to a open mic gig, and you tell a joke. It's really simple. Like,
you say it's really simple, but the one thing you need to be a comedian is to be outstanding, to be outgoing rather, and willing to put yourself out there. Were you always like this? Or was you like an outgoing child? Or was this something you sort of had to learn to be in order to follow the stream of being a comedian?
I was very quiet and very shy as a kid. I was the quiet kid at school. Like, I remember when I was about 16 doing sixth form, and someone asked me a question in business studies, and I answered, and they went, oh, you can talk. Like, really sort of quite mean and quite pointed, because I was just so quiet. I was just focused on getting good grades. I didn't really care about being cool or hanging out with people. I was like, no, I just want to go to school, get good grades, and then get a good job, really. That was my main aim. So I did have to really teach myself to be good at performing and good at just speaking to people. Like, it wasn't something that really came naturally to me. But it's strange, because I feel like, but when I'm in a conversation, that bit comes quite naturally to me. Like, I know how to speak to people, I know how to sort of read people. But the initial stage of it, like, I wasn't very good at the introductions or putting myself in those places or put myself out there. And that's something I probably had to learn in my sort of late teens and my early 20s when I was trying to get into stand-up.
I feel that one. I still feel that one to this day.
Oh, mate, no, I should say I still have times where I really struggle with some things. I've so many times where I sort of say to my girlfriend, like, can you help me send this email, because I'm quite scared? And she's just like, it's just an email, mate. And I'm like, yeah, but what if they say you're an idiot? And it's like, I've never had any email calling me an idiot, but you do still have that thing, where, you do need to build yourself up and go, no, I should speak to that person, because it is, especially when you're working in, different creative avenues, it basically feels like someone could reject your entire personality and just basically go, no, we don't want you. And that's not, that's not something you really have when you're at Sainsbury's, really. You just work, you do your job, and it's fine. You never have someone going, no, we don't want you, in the same way. It is always a risk when you put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
Go on, Jim.
I was going to say, for me, it's phones. Like, if my phone rings and I don't know that number that's phoning me, I'll just throw it across the room, like, no, and run away. Like, someone tells me to make a phone call. No.
That's the thing. I know a lot of people who have real things with phone calls, and I get that. For ages when I was a teenager, I wouldn't answer the phone, and I don't know what that is. I get it's because you can't see them. Maybe that's what it is, because you don't know who they are. You can't see them, and so, like, are you better with reading people's facial expressions? Is that part of it, or?
Yeah, I can talk better in person. Once, like I was saying before, once that introduction's been done, and I'm talking to someone, I am fine. But
how would you feel if I turned my video off now? So there we go. I'm still here.
It's weird now.
Do you not like it now?
No, come back.
Oh God, he's sweating. Oh my God. Okay.
It's
Right,
not
I'm
time
back.
for a sociological experiment, Tom.
No, that failed, that experiment.
I just think it's amazing that you've put yourself out there in a career which is, you're putting yourself out there for the world to basically sit, are they going to laugh or they're going to not laugh? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's incredible, and I tip my hat to you because there's no fucking way I could do that. There's no fucking way I could stand there and be like, so, what? I don't know why everyone always says phones, eh? What about them? Like, that's always their go-to when they're not a comedian. That's their go-to thing to say.
Mate, can you not give away my best material on this podcast?
So I'm so sorry. I watched all those videos earlier. And now, I've just got Mayhew seething through me. I love it.
But do you really feel like you couldn't though? Because is it that much different from doing a podcast? Because a podcast, you're basically going, we think we're interesting, so listen to it.
But I suppose because there's no immediate reaction to it, is there? I can put it out there and go, cool, that's that then. If people want to enjoy that, that's fine. If they don't, whereas obviously in comedy, you're like, your audience is there. And it's like, well, here we fucking go. And then it's just blur. And then it's either, ha ha ha, or boo, get off, don't want to see you anymore sort of thing, or walk out or whatever.
What if it was like a live podcast? Have you ever done one of them?
We've done gigs where we put shows on for the foundation and we've hosted it, but we just go, thanks for coming, everyone. It's blah, 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 blah. Then we walk off. So it's not really like a podcast, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I don't have to.
I just want to talk you into doing stand-up by the end of this podcast. Like,
I shall make it my life's work. I wrote a couple of things in my head when we did a gig last year. But everyone was, because it's a gig, I don't think anyone was really anticipating that to happen. So I said some things and nobody really reacted. They were just like all chatting amongst themselves. I was like, oh yeah. So I thought in the future we'll just put a show on and go, here's the band, hooray, and walk off.
That shows you can be a comedian, because a natural comedian instinct to survive is to sometimes blame the audience. So you've already got that.
Big tick. The next part, Tom, was how to actually deliver. Is the next.
Just pretend you're Daniel Bryan and just go on stage with that energy and see what happens.
Oh, amazing! Just start kicking loads of people and expect them to chant yes.
As I'm on the stage with you, if you run it with your knee, I'm going to be pissed.
It's some sort of like sex dungeon, wouldn't it? People getting kicked and people going, yes, or more, yes, more. Anyway, this podcast is about you, Tom, not about trying to train me into doing stand-up for no reason. And this is about you. We're here to talk about Tom Mayhew, not Tom Stevens.
I mean, that's the thing about me. I really don't like talking about myself, so I always try and turn it onto other people and just go, no, let's talk about you being a wrestler and a stand-up comedian at the same time. Let's talk about that.
Fantastic. Well, how did you get into the comedy career? How did things like start off for you?
I remember sort of listening to a lot of podcasts by comedians, and they basically said how there were like different Facebook groups and different pages where you could find details for gigs. And I just looked them up, and you could just go on Facebook and type in like open mic comedy, and there would be like 50 results. And it was as easy as clicking on a page, emailing this email and going, can I do a gig? And usually with open mic gigs, they'll be like, yeah, we've got a gig in about 2 months, because they have ridiculous waiting lists. And you just go, cool, I'll do it. And then your name's down. It always is bizarre how kind of unofficial it all feels when you're signing up. Even when you're doing paid gigs nowadays, like often sometimes can go, oh, do you want to do that gig? I'll pay you this. You just go, yeah, sure. And there's no contract. You just turn up, do the gig, and usually get cash in hand. Like it feels so weird. Like any other line of work, you feel there'd be contracts, people would be signing stuff, and there'd be, there'd be itineraries and all this. But comedy is just like, oh yeah, just turn up there, be here about 6 or 7. You do around 20 minutes. There we go. Here's your money. And it's bizarre. So it's really kind of easy to get into. I mean, I'm not saying you should definitely do it in your Daniel Bryan character, but I'm just saying if you wanted to do that, just Facebook search and, open mic comedy. You can find a place. I'm sure we'll get somewhere where you can do King Gong. Do like a gong show in character as Daniel Bryan and threaten them with chairs and just see what happens. They're not going to gong you off if you've got a metal chair in your hand. So
That's just very true. And I'll have lots of flames. Get trunks with flames on, knee pads with flames on, and boots with flames on. That'd be. You get that really shitty shirt you used to wear when you're a 15-year-old kid with all the flames on it and the dragons. Do you remember them?
Yes, everyone had them.
Yeah. They were always bright red. For some reason, a bright red shirt out of there with silver dragons on there, flames at the bottom. Yeah, because red and orange goes so well together. I mean, look.
Yeah. You're still rocking it to this day.
It's appreciated. I've actually Oh yeah, I was going to say, when you talk about how unofficial all these gigs are, I can imagine it's all like really underhand, under the table, sort of like back alley type shit. Yeah, Tom, I've got money for you. For the gig you did. Yeah. It's like, down the back alley, so like, you got some cigarettes.
I mean, you're not far off, to be honest, mate. Some of the gigs are. Some of like the open mic gigs might be like that, definitely. But yeah, it depends what gigs you do, I suppose.
At what point did you go, okay, I'm doing these open mic nights, I'm enjoying this, to I would like to do this as a career. I'm going to go put on an Edinburgh show and whatnot. What was that moment that you went, I want to put all my attention into this? Was it like an epiphany, or was it something that just sort of happened?
No, I think I kind of knew I wanted to do it as a career before I even did any gigs. I kind of knew that, I'd really love to do this, and I'd love to do it long term and make myself good at it and get a career out of this. I think if I didn't want to do it as a career, I probably wouldn't have done it. I would have just thought, that seems really anxiety inducing. Why would I do that if I don't want to have a big sort of aim or goal? So I kind of feel like I wanted to do it as a career since I decided to do it. I probably didn't start approaching it professionally until about 2014. That's when I first kind of would have started gigging regularly and being like, right, okay, we've got to try and do 3 or 4 gigs a week, and you've got to try and gig in all these places and gig in these little clubs, and try and approach it in a way like that, where you do try and basically tick off things that you see as career progression, whether it's doing a certain gig or gigging in a certain city or doing a Brighton Fringe show or Edinburgh Fringe show or whatever. And that was probably 2014 when I started doing that.
Can you actually remember your first ever show that you did?
Yeah, my first gig. Yeah, it was above a pub. It was like a Laughing Horse New Act of the Year competition, and I was like, I'm a new act because I've not done a single gig. What I didn't realise is that new act can mean you've been gigging for 7 years. But I was just like, I must be new. It's my first gig. So I did this gig, and it was like a 5-minute set. And the MC was a man from Iceland called Snorri. And he was very nice and very friendly. And I was very nervous. I considered running away before the gig. And then eventually I was like, well, I've paid to come into London. I may as well do it, because otherwise I've just wasted money. And it was a weird thing where I was so nervous that I ended up speaking to a guy in the front row who had blue hair, and just speaking about the fact he had blue hair for about 2 minutes. And it's strange because some comedians do like 100 gigs and they go, oh, I'm still not confident talking to an audience. Whereas for me, like, my nerves made me speak to an audience member, which is kind of the opposite of some people, because some people, their nerves make them just read their jokes like it's a script. Whereas for me, my nerves made me go, oh God, I'm panicking. Talk to this man in the front row. And I just talked about his blue hair for about 3 minutes.
That's incredible.
It's a wonderful reversal, because like you're saying, most people are like, joke, I'm out of here. You've gone, audience. Shit, I was here to tell jokes. But obviously, you're most...
Go on, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, how do you come up with your act? Because obviously you base your act around, obviously, poverty and how fucking shit the UK is right now and everything else. Like, how would you decide that this is what I want to base my act around? This is what I want to base my jokes over?
I guess it's partly just talking about what you know, to be honest. Like, literally, the Radio 4 series, the first one I did, and the sort of the show that was written in 2019 was about me just sort of leaving school and finding myself signing on for a number of years, and how annoying and frustrating that was. And then I saw in the media, oh, there's no one really talking about this. And I was like, right, well, I'm going to talk about it and write jokes about it, because that's how you get people to talk about these things. And it just felt like it was quite an important thing to do. I think especially because from, my experience and the experience of many other people of my generation or other people I knew who have signed on in the past 13 years of, austerity and the Tories being in charge, have all found it a very similar kind of soul-destroying experience. And I was like, well, I should probably write a show about this and sort of take the mickey out of that experience a bit, to try and get, like, I think a lot of great art sort of comes from when you try and get something good out of a really crap moment, and then you try and make something positive out of it. And I think that's what I try and do with my life. Like, I try and always just think, okay, if that's a bad thing, we can turn it into something good. And then instead of looking back and going, oh, that was a really crap time of my life, I can look back and go, oh, that helped me write a really good show. And then that's like a nice way of kind of reversing it in your head and going, okay, that's really cool. It's almost part like the cathartic nature of writing about it, but also just kind of going, I've not seen anyone else do this, and I really want to do it. And I think if you're trying to make new stuff, new art, you want to write about stuff that's interesting, that's new, that's different. You don't want to be the 50th person who has a 10-minute set about Tinder, because I don't see the point of that.
Great point, though. Yeah, it's so valid, especially with how absolutely fucking dreadful everything is. It's almost like it writes itself in a way, because the Tories just go, this spout all this bullshit. You go, wonderful, thank you so much. Any more, Rishi? Any more? Oh, wonderful. Do you know what I mean? Fucking pricks. Sorry. So it makes me so angry with the way that that this is allowed to happen, that it's allowed to be a thing. There's allowed to be a party that, sorry to get political, going down that road again. That basically goes, fuck the poor, no one likes them, let's make them all eat turkey out on the fucking, bring out your dead and all that bullshit, with the fucking carts everywhere, people like dumping them in and they're throwing like their waste on you and shit like that. Like, that's what they want. That's what they really want. So they can sit there and just wank each other all off. Like, look at all the poor people eating mud outside. Oh, how we laugh. Look at our massive fucking 50-meter long table full of food that we're not even going to eat because it's just funny to have it there. Sorry. Oh, sorry, Tom. Yeah, it's just why so literally it's like, more police, more. It's almost like I don't want them to fucking win next year, but you kind of want them to, so you go, lovely, more material, thank you so much.
I mean, luckily I don't think that Keir Starmer is going to be the radical left-wing solution that we need, so I should be fine.
Yeah, true.
I think Keir Starmer is going to be more of the same, but slightly less of a dickhead, but still a dickhead. So, I don't think it's going to radically, because at the moment, I need to turn to the bloody politics podcast, but, at the moment it's literally, Rishi going, I hate trans people, and Starmer going, I also hate trans people. And you go, wow, what a great choice we've got between these two dickheads. Fantastic, mate. It's just so, I'm not hopeful that, for my career, it's fine. But for society as a whole, it's not going to be what we need. But at the very least, it means I can keep doing the kind of comedy I do, I suppose.
Swings and roundabouts.
It is so fucking random. What can we pick on? People in boats. Let's just pick on them. The LGBTQ community. Let's pick on them. Fuck. Anyone else? Is there anyone else we can pick on? Women and children? Should we pick on them? I don't know anymore. It's literally, it's just garbage that falls out their face literally all the time. And, the world is fucked. So fucked. It's unbelievable. Anyway. Sorry. You are, but yeah, I think Starmer's literally taking Christian's fucking name as Captain Charisma, like literally. Like, fucking hell.
I mean, he's so boring as well. I know everyone has said it, but it's just like there's nothing to him. Like, at least, I wasn't a fan of Tony Blair, but at least there was a bit of charisma or something there. Like, whereas I just feel like I've never seen Starmer. He's a man who, I've never seen a man who has kids who manages to give off such boring virgin energy.
Yeah, he's like Coke Zero.
Yeah, he really is. Oh,
Yeah. Sorry.
How do you go about writing your material though? Is there a process for it? Is it like, I don't know, you hear something in the news, you're like, oi, voice note while you're walking down the road, or is it run a hot bath, light some candles, have a bit of reflection time? Like what is the process for you writing your material?
I mean, I kind of is close to the first one really, and I do. I mean, similar to literally the rant we just had in that I kind of think of things that annoy me and go, why does that annoy me? Okay, how can I write about that in a funny way that turns that annoyance on its head? So, like, the annoyance could be, for example, the ridiculous rise in transphobia in the right-wing media. And so then I go, okay, I'm going to write some material that's going, isn't this ridiculous because X, Y, Z? And he writes some jokes about how ludicrous it is and how silly it is. And so it kind of always comes from a place of, I don't know, I guess, frustration about sort of negative stereotypes and propaganda, really, where I just feel like there's so much crap that's spouted by a lot of these people from these media firms, and you just go, well, I disagree with that, so I'm going to write some comedy that expresses that while also highlighting how absurd that is. And it's usually quite easy to highlight how absurd it is because these people are just idiots who've just jumped on the next big topic and gone, oh, that's made me angry. I don't really know why, but we're all saying it makes us angry, and they've not actually thought about it, and so their opinions are just utterly ludicrous and ill thought out. And you're like, okay, I can probably take the piss out of this.
It's like the Trump DeSantis method, isn't it? Just say everything's woke for no reason, even though you don't have a fucking clue what that is. Then just start bashing everybody for absolutely no reason. Yeah, and saying it's all fake news, and everyone's going. And then for some reason, Americans eat it all up.
I mean, that's the depressing thing is how many people do eat this stuff up. That's always going to be a frustrating thing, but that's always been the case. Apparently, like someone told me recently they were reading something about the plague, and apparently even during the plague, there are people who are going, "Oh, it's not real. Don't worry about it. It's not a real thing." And you just go, "Oh, okay." Like, even then, there was people who basically were saying it's fake news, over 100 odd years ago when there were dead bodies in the streets. You just go, okay, well, there's always going to be these people. There's always going to be propaganda. There's always going to be contrary idiots, and it's just trying to navigate it.
You say that about like people who have always tried to defend the actions of these people and argue against everything, but do you ever have that backlash when you're doing shows? Like, if you had like the crowd turn on you, like heckle you and stuff like that because of you voicing your opinion?
I did in 2019 because like leading up to the election, I probably wasn't doing gigs thinking what's the best way of smashing this gig. I was just trying to think what's the best way of trying to tell people they should not vote for the blonde bumbling twat. So those gigs, I had a few gigs where I probably doubled down on just, saying the Tories are awful people when the audience didn't want to hear it. And I was like, well, I'm just going to double down on it because literally we've got a month to the election and I don't really care how the gig goes. I'd rather we got a progressive government in power. And so it just almost felt like my duty to try and go, oh, well, I'll try and, make these people see the side. And so some people kind of hated me at those gigs and were shouting out stuff and didn't like me. Never sort of, physically violent or anything, because I don't think you really get that often at gigs unless you're being massively aggressive. And even my stuff's not massively aggressive. It can be sort of challenging or quite pointed, but I don't deliver it in a you're an idiot way. I deliver it in a I think this is wrong because blah blah blah. So I think people just didn't like what I was saying and didn't agree with it, and just weren't happy with me being on stage. But generally, apart from that, it's okay. I feel like it's often a case of picking your battles and sort of playing the room a bit, and knowing that if the first joke about signing on doesn't go down well, don't do the next half an hour. Like, switch it up a bit and go, okay, maybe they'll like jokes about football or something else. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing, which means that most time I've not got into trouble.
Okay, it's important though to tell these stories, because at the end of the day, some people might not have heard of this. I'm so ignorant to the news, because every time I hear someone like, "Oh, this is depressing as shit," and I can't bring myself to pay any attention to it, I'll be completely honest. The amount of things Tom's told me about my own city that I didn't know about because I don't pay attention. But like, just one of the clips of yours I saw talking about Carol at the job centre, I was like, I've been there, I've signed on, I know of Carol, I've dealt with a Carol.
Yeah,
But I can guarantee there's a lot of people out there that haven't dealt with a Carol. So it's quite eye-opening to these people at the same time.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the one of the main reasons for sort of writing this and doing this kind of comedy, because you want people to know your story and your experiences, and to sort of empathize with that, and to see how like frustrating the kind of behind the scenes stuff is when you're just literally trying to get 60 quid a week so you can afford food, and how many sort of hoops you have to jump through. And it's kind of mad, all the crap that they kind of make people do, and not just for people who are job seekers, people who are, they're ill, they're on PIP, and they still have to prove they're ill. And you're a bit like, mate, like why are we not trusting doctors anymore? When did that stop happening? And it's kind of insane. Like my dad's on PIP, and he has to kind of, once a year they say to him, "Oh, you're still ill?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to be ill till I'm dead. So why do you have to keep asking him once a year?" It's kind of it's insane. Do you know what I mean? And so it's that ridiculous thing where if people don't know about it, it's not going to change. So I guess part of it maybe comes from, it's partly sort of going, I want to write about my stuff and sort of want to tell my story, but also a sort of deep hope of maybe if we all talk about these stories, eventually stuff will change and it will get better. Whether it will in our lifetimes, who bloody knows? But at least we can say we tried.
Yeah, and that's what I find most admirable, massively, about it. It's like you've not been backing down to the people that are like, well, actually, I think you're wrong. It's like, okay, well, and that's fine, and that's okay. But then they don't even like that, and you're like, well. No. It's nuts to me why people want to. You know what I mean? But you are right. There's hardly any political sort of comedy out there, especially the stuff that you're talking about. But you mentioned the PIP thing then. Sorry about your dad, by the way. That's a really shitty thing. Like you'd have like no arms or legs, and they're still checking every year. Have you still not got any limbs? Like, yeah, no, still. I've actually lost more of my torso now. I mean, did you want to know about that? Or like it's literally. It's insane.
Yeah, it's like actually... the comedian Francesca Martinez has got a bit about how she's on PIP, and once a year they go like, "Oh, so have you still got cerebral palsy?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've still got that. Yeah, like it's because, of course, you have. Literally, like she's had it for quite a while. Do you know what I mean?" And the fact they have to check that is utterly insane. Like they're like, "Has that got better?" No. What do you mean? Has it? Do you not know how disabilities work? You wouldn't go up to someone in a wheelchair and go, "Oh, how are your legs, mate?" But that is literally what the PIP system's doing. It's absolutely absurd. It's them going, "Are you still blind at the moment? Just for the form. I just need to write if you're still." So it's absolutely insane. It's insane.
It is absolutely batshit. I
Next
don't
thing
understand it. Go on, Joe.
I was saying, next thing you know, they're going to start testing them. They'll go up to blind people, start waving in their faces. They're like, "Yeah, you passed the test. You're definitely still blind." All right.
I mean, that's the. I think there's some sort of like dark satirical comedy you can make out of these situations because they are just so absurd. But it's like, but that's all it should be. It should be, a part in a episode of Black Mirror or something. It shouldn't be people's experience, because it's just so frustrating for people just to go, "Yes, mate, I am still in a wheelchair," or whatever it is, because I just it's insane. Absolutely batshit.
because they haven't got enough billions as it is. But Susan, like you say, with her no limbs, that she's taken like £1.50 or whatever it is, just peanuts compared to what they've got. It's nuts.
That's the thing, and again, I almost forget to say it occasionally, but if you're on like job seekers or you're on PIP, then you might be living off about £3,000 a year. That's it. You're not taking tons of money off people. You're not the reason there's potholes in the street or the reason that the food's gone up. Literally, you're on £3,000 a year. You're not living this great life. You're just scraping by, and it's ridiculous. People have to fight just for the bare minimum when it's like it's not much. £3,000 a year in the grand scheme of things. I've heard there's some people who earn a bit more than that, so maybe we should talk about them.
Wow.
Anyway.
If you want to hear loads of jokes about that, I've got a Radio 4 series where there's loads of really good jokes about it. So go listen to that. It's on my YouTube, it's on BBC Sounds, and enjoy them.
So what's really nuts is I was literally about to say you adapted the show and you've got Tom Mayhew is Benefit Scum on BBC Radio 4.
Yeah.
What? How did the radio sort of thing come about? Is it something you pitched, or did they ask you to do it?
I did my Edinburgh show at the Soho Theatre, and a Radio 4 producer came to the Soho Theatre to see the show. He really liked it and was like, "We should pitch this for a Radio 4 series." Then off the back of, basically, he did the show in Edinburgh. It went well in Edinburgh. It transferred to the Soho Theatre. Off the back of Soho Theatre, the producer pitched it to Radio 4, and they said, "Yes, it sounds really good. Let's make it into a series." And then that went well enough that we got a second series the year after. It kind of was just pitched off the back of the live show doing really well. I mean, I think that's the thing about a lot of Radio 4 comedy stuff, is that it is just, it's rooted in either sketch or stand-up. And so if you can prove, okay, here's a piece of work that works over an hour, it's very easy for them to go, okay, we can see how this would work on radio, because it often can just be literally lifting it from one medium to the other.
Absolutely. Did you, when you were going into writing that Tom Mayhew show, though, the way this snowballed into all these different things, did you go in there with the plan of let's try and make this into something else, or was it just like, what the fuck happened here? I just went on stage and now all this is happening?
I remember working on it. Like, part of the reason I called it Tom Mayhew, because obviously the I, Daniel Blake film, and the poster's kind of a send-up of that film. And so when I did that, it made me go, okay, that's the pressure on you, Tom, because this stand-up show has to be as good as that film is. Like, you can't name it after a really good film and then have a really bad stand-up show. It just would be absurd. Like, so I was like, okay, that's put pressure on me to write a really good show that kind of captures that reality and that truth and that heart, while also having loads of jokes and loads of Mickey taking and satire and stuff like that. So that put the pressure on me to do that. And I remember, I think before I did that show in Edinburgh, I was just like, I just want to take the show to Edinburgh, get like a 4-star review, and then that would be my most successful show yet. If I had one 4-star review, it would have been a success for me, at that point. And then it got like, I think, 4 4-star reviews and a 5-star review. So it went sort of much better than I ever expected. I actually made money at the Edinburgh Fringe for the first time, which again, I wasn't expecting. But I kind of, I knew I wanted it to be a bit of a statement show. I feel like, given it that title and that poster and that subject matter, I knew that I want this to go well. I want people to notice this. But, I think I didn't expect it to go as well as it did. I think before Edinburgh, I was saying to my partner, she directed the show, and I sort of said to her, if it gets, a 4-star review, and then either like a day at Soho Theatre or a one-off Radio 4 episode, that'd be great. And then eventually it got really good reviews. It got 3 days at Soho Theatre, which sold out, and then 2 series on Radio 4. Like, I wasn't expecting that whatsoever. I mean, frankly, I probably wasn't expecting that partly because of the subject matter. I was just so used to things being crap, and going, oh, it's a story of me really struggling, not having much money, and being ignored. You kind of expect it just to be ignored again. So when people finally did listen, it was, absolutely insane, and it's still something that's always going to be there. I'm always going to be like, wow, I did that, and it did a lot better than I thought possible, which was amazing.
Was there a lot of hype going into these shows? Obviously, I know a lot of comedians do like preview shows before they take it to Edinburgh and whatnot. So did you go into Edinburgh with a lot of steam behind you, or was it at Edinburgh where it sort of all happened?
I think Edinburgh is mainly where it happened. I had a few sort of decent reviews of previews and people saying nice things on social media after previews. And, I kind of did some clever social media stuff. Like I sent letters out to like every Labour MP telling them about the show, and kind of posted a picture of the envelopes on social media, so it showed that I was writing something that's got a point to it, that made a few people go, oh, okay, this is different from most Fringe shows. This guy's got a point. He's got something to say. So I had a few social media things that I'd kind of done myself, but I wasn't on any of the sort of shows you must see kind of list. I wasn't one of the 50 comedians due to make a splash at Edinburgh. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have PR. So it was just a lot of, I think, word of mouth in Edinburgh, which is such a big thing up there, and such a incredible thing, I think, in Edinburgh, where you can sort of take a show and, it probably happens to one in every 500 shows, in that you can take it and it can grow through word of mouth, and you can start the month with everyone going, who's that? And then by the end of the month, people go, oh yeah, that person did that show. And that's the only place that can happen in Edinburgh, I think.
It's crazy. I don't think I think people outside of the world of comedy and stand-up, I don't think they realise just how important the Edinburgh Fringe can be and how much of an impact it can have on people's careers. Like, it's insane, the stories you hear coming out of it.
Yeah, it's huge. So many people who, pretty much everyone on telly has done an Edinburgh Fringe show. Like, and a lot of them, they would have come through and got on telly off the back of doing the Edinburgh Fringe show. Because again, similar to my experience with Radio 4, some people could have seen Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie doing a live show, and they'd go, oh, they'd be good on telly, off the back of seeing them do something live, in a way that you can never convey that through a script. So, there's so many people who, like the Cambridge Footlights, like Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, like all these people who did Edinburgh years ago, and now they're kind of household names, and people have no idea that it probably all started in a little 80-seat venue or something in Edinburgh.
It's mad. Like, I was a big fan of the Mighty Boosh, and like even that started at Edinburgh and then got picked up for radio and went on to be what that is today. Now, Noel Fielding's hosting the Great British Bake Off. It's mad how people's careers changed from doing that festival.
I'm amazed he's still doing the Bake Off. Genuinely, I thought he'd do that one episode and then go, what am I doing? But he's still on it, isn't he? He's still baking and.
Well, not so much baking, but he's in there.
Well, that hasn't happened. You're probably on This Morning next.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anything past him. If he can get on Bake Off, he can probably, probably host the news at 10 by next week.
Oh, could you imagine?
With his co-host the Moon.
Now for the weather.
That'd be so. I mean, you even got 4 stars from the Daily Mail.
I did, yeah. That was,
which is absolutely unbelievable. That must have blown your mind a little bit, though.
I mean, it was mad because, like, the that was for the first series on Radio 4, and before it went out, there was a little article from some grumpy old man, I presume, going, oh, there's this comedian who's working class and he's left wing and he's gonna do woke nonsense and blah blah blah. And then when it came out, the Daily Mail gave me 4 stars. So now it just means that I can legit put on a poster just Tory hating lefty 4 stars, Daily Mail.
Fuck that guy.
But it was mad. It was like he's not even heard it, and he was like, "Oh, I bet it'll be another Brexit bashing lefty." And I was like, "Mate, I think I mentioned Brexit maybe once in the series, and that was to say my grandma voted Brexit, but I still love her." And I was like, "Oh, what a hateful left-wing monster I am!" Like,
Fucking. Oh.
But obviously, the Radio 4 show did incredibly well for you to get that second season. What point did you think this is going well? Like, this could keep going? Did something happen, or what was it?
I don't know really, because I think radio is such a strange thing, like similar to, all audio stuff like podcasts, in that you don't know how people respond to it or how people react to it. Like, all you really know is you put it out, you have a few people tweeting or messaging to say I enjoyed that, and then that's kind of that, and you're just like, okay, was that good? Was that bad? Like, there's no kind of barometer. I have no idea how many people listened to it live or how many people listened on catch up. I'm just like, okay, well, I worked hard on it. I think it was good. And then they were like, oh, we want a second series. And I was like, okay, well, it must have been good then. So I'll take that.
Will it ever get done for a third?
At the moment, they've not taken up a third series, which I was a bit gutted about, really, to be honest, because I was kind of like, mate, surely this is more topical than ever. Why would now be the time where you go, we don't want more of that? I didn't really understand it as a decision, but that's what they said. So I'm just like, fine, I'll just keep doing what I do, keep working hard, and then eventually I'll be back on the radio somehow. I don't know how, but I'm an absolute pain. So I'm like, well, I'm going to keep bugging you. I'm going to keep annoying you, literally. Every 2 months, go, oh, I've not heard from that producer. Oh, mate, have you thought about putting me on the radio again? Just to be really, because that's the thing. So much of comedy is just being a bit of an annoying dickhead. I think just constantly going, do you remember I exist? Do you remember that? Yeah. So
that's a really successful show. You maybe have we have 2 seasons for. Yeah, I want to bring it back for a third. Yeah,
exactly.
The thing is, Tom, watch when your career gets even higher than it already is, they're gonna come crawling back, and you're like, no, I'm doing How I Got News for You now, so fuck you. Season 42.
I mean, for pure clarification, I wouldn't say that. I'd probably still need the money, but just in case anyone's listening.
These are the opinions of Tom Stevens, not Tom Mayhew. The sole words were spoken by Tom Stevens. I've got you back there. Don't worry, you're all good.
Means we're not getting on Radio 4 now, though. Fuck.
No, but you are going to Have I Got News for You, apparently. So there we go.
Yeah. Is Ernest Eaton still there? No, just...
He left like 23 years ago or something.
When did he go?
Oh, it was early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. He went. Well, yeah, like Ian Hislop's still there. And is Paul Merton still there?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow, that's longevity. That's amazing that show has gone on for so long. Anyway, you had a show called Trash Rich last year. Am I correct?
Yes, at the Edinburgh Fringe. Yes.
Yes. How did that go? What was that all about?
I mean, that was all about literally society right now and the cost of living crisis and how it feels like a very kind of, I don't know. I just it was kind of about how I think society nowadays just comes up with new names to explain the fact there's inequality. So you have like the recession, then you have austerity, then you have the credit crunch, then you have the cost of living crisis. And I'm like, how many new names are you going to come up with before you go, oh, actually, maybe there's real problems with society that are causing deep divisions in the country, and maybe we should look at that and not just keep saying, oh no, there's this new branded thing, because it's just like really bizarre in my head. They just go, oh yeah, there's a spenny penny problem now, so everyone's struggling because of the spenny penny problem. And you're like, what does that mean? And they're like, oh, it's the spenny penny problem. Do you know what I mean? It's just happened. So you're not going to eat today. And you go, oh, fair enough, mate. All right. But that guy is in a mansion. They go, yeah, but he's also feeling the spenny penny problem. Like he's had to, empty his swimming pool for a day. So you go, oh, fair enough, mate. So it was kind of about my frustrations about the cost of living crisis and the depictions of all that nonsense, I suppose.
I've never ever thought of it that way. I've never gone, oh yeah, the recession, the fact there's new names for it every fucking day is insane. But I'm pleased they didn't call it like Platty Jubs or the Cosy Livy cry or any bollocks like that. Yeah, like any bullshit like that. But still, or this drip down thing now that they started spouting about. Is it drip down economics or something? Where if you put it in the top, nothing falls out. So we keep it all and you're all fucked. That's
been a thing for years, the idea of trickle down economics, the idea that, and it's, what was it that I think I saw someone recently say something about how, I found £10 on the street, but I didn't give it to a homeless person. I just went and gave it to my neighbour who lives in a mansion because it will get to the homeless person eventually. And you're just
That's what I love about these things. They go out there making it sound like they know what they're talking about. And then the idiots are like, yeah, he's right, it's going to work. And then someone will come along and explain it exactly like that. And they go, yeah, they're fucking idiots. Like, why do they expect us to believe this bollocks? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Absolutely mad.
But you've written for the news quiz and news check as well.
Yes.
Is it strange writing stuff for other people, for other shows that you're not directly involved in?
It is. It's a different kind of muscle in your brain, because when you're writing, well, at least my stand-up, it's always from a very kind of personal perspective and from my point of view and my experiences. Whereas the news quiz, it's just like, what's the news this week? Okay, how can we write a funny joke about Theresa May or whatever it is? It's just literally looking at what's topical and trying to go, how can we make it funny? And so it's different, but I do enjoy it because it feels like it's just like, I don't know, it's like when you're so used to playing football and you really love football, and then you play a bit of hockey and you don't enjoy hockey as much as football, but you go, oh, I like the difference, I like the change. It's that kind of, I don't know why I come up with those things. I've not played hockey since I did PE at school, but do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing where when they switch it up and you go, oh, it's something different. So it's like that, where it's not what I naturally do when I write, but I still enjoy it, and I enjoy sort of the pushing myself in that direction and getting myself to think of things in different ways.
I love that.
And it's always really exciting when you hear your name on the radio. Like, I still have that thing where even if it's just my name credited at the end of a show, I'm still just like, that's what it's about. That's what you wanted since you were a teenager. So that's always just like, yeah.
I love it. I love that you keep writing, you keep him busy, and you always working. Like Tom just mentioned, they're trash rich, but you've also got This Time Next Year We'll Be Millionaires.
Yeah, that was this year's show. Yeah.
Did I read you were basically trying to sell things out of a suitcase or something?
Yes, yeah, that's what I was doing in that show. I was trying to make £1 million within an hour by selling things.
Okay.
It didn't work, spoiler alert. But it was good fun. It was good fun. It was just kind of like literally it was strange, because some days there'd be loads of people who wanted to buy stuff, and other days you could tell people were just like, okay, we've already bought a ticket. Do we have to actually buy anything? But most of the time it was just very silly and very fun. And I was always like, you don't have to actually buy anything, because some of this is a narrative device. It's okay. You don't have to buy.
That'd be me. I know what I'm like. That'd be me sat in the audience. I'm like, shit, do I actually have to go buy something now? Like, if I sneak out, will he notice if I don't buy anything? Like, I don't upset the guy, but I don't want to buy anything from his weird suitcase.
No, yeah, most of it was deliberate crap that was just a kind of joke thing to sell, to be honest. But it was good fun.
I can imagine if you sat there being like, "Oh, Tom, I bought them polos off you, the half-eaten pack. Yeah, 20 quid. Do you mind if I get that back? Is that all right?"
It was amazing. One of the things I tried to sell, it was a little toy noddy, and it was missing one of its legs. And I'd kind of hold it up, and a number of people who were going, "Oh, I'll give you a fiver for it," and they were actually trying to buy it. And I was like, "This is supposed to be so crap that no one would want it. Why?" So many people going, "Oh, come on, I'll give you a fiver." And I was like, "No, I need it for tomorrow's show, mate. Why do you want it?"
Plus, it's on Pip. It's got one leg. It's not. It's Pip thinking on every one leg, so I can't let him go.
That's fucking brilliant. Oh. But did the success of the radio show and everything help with those future fringe shows like the two we just mentioned? Did that bring a new audience into your stand-up stuff?
I think it did. Yeah, not in the kind of massive leap way I think a lot of people would expect. I think a lot of people kind of have this idea of, you know, kind of like when things were on the X Factor back in the day and someone would audition for the X Factor and then the next day they'd have like 40,000 Twitter followers and they'd be mobbed outside. Like, I think people expect radio and TV to still be like that for people, whereas it's more a slight jump up. So nothing crazy. It's not like you go from a 40-seater to a 100-seater. It's more like you go from a 40-seat to maybe a 50-seat. Like, it's small little gaps. It's more incremental, I think, over the years nowadays. But definitely people who've heard it, who've come along, which is always lovely. Like one guy, he was in the audience for my first series on Radio 4, and that was recorded over Zoom. And he was in Northern Ireland, and then he came along to my Edinburgh show this year. And I was like, "Oh, mate, you're from Northern Ireland. Like, why have you?" But yeah, it was really, really lovely that he'd come to see me. So
that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I like it. But obviously, I find it really admirable that you use your platform to challenge like the government and the system. But do you think maybe it holds you back in some markets? Like, because they'll go, "I don't want that being spoken about on our TV show," or anything like that. Or have you not really thought about it? You just gone, "No, this is me. Fuck you. Don't like it. Do one."
No, I think it does. Though genuinely, I think it does. I think, especially now, there's not really much of a space for like comedy that is political on TV. Like, you know, you think we don't even have Mock to Week anymore. We don't have The Mash Report. We don't have Frankie Ball's New World Order. All these shows that used to be sort of homes for political comedy aren't on anymore. So it does feel like it's probably the harder route to sort of TV success and radio success. And it feels like you'd have a bigger chance if I was just talking about observational comedy and kept it a bit safer. But then I'm also like, yeah, but that's it's not how my brain works. So you can only make the work that your brain wants you to and your heart wants you to. And you know, it definitely will put some people off, but it definitely will probably mean that I'm never going to be one of those panel show comedians. And I'm probably, you know, I've never done telly. I don't know if I ever will, but I'm also just like, yeah, but I'd rather look back and say I've done stuff that I'm proud of that has a point to it. And, you know, who knows, maybe somehow in the next 10 years, there'll be a radical left-wing head of the BBC who goes, "Yes, we want to do a show with Mark Thomas and Alexi Searle and Tom Mayhew, and we'd finally all get on telly together." But who bloody knows? You know what I mean? But I think you can't worry about that too much in this industry, because you spend so much time trying to think about what you should do and what people would want, whereas really, like, what people want changes year by year, and there could be so many people who, dedicate 6 years to try and be a certain thing, and then the industry changes and goes, oh no, we don't want that thing, we want TikTokers now or whatever, and then they go, oh crap, I wasted that time. So you just got to do what you believe in, I think.
Absolutely. And I admire that so much, and I'm so glad you said that, because like you say, no matter what happens, that's you, that you've got to write from your heart and what you feel. And the fact you've stuck to that instead of going, nah, let's just go with the popular shit so I can get on TV. You stuck to your guns and spoke about what you're passionate about. I really admire that. So that's amazing to hear.
Oh, cheers, mate. Thank you.
But
and also the pandemic obviously didn't really help things in regards to TV shows and everything else, because they didn't invest in the arts. They didn't invest in any of the comedy venues or comedy shows, and they started to obviously just bin things off little by little, so that it's not like a massive, like, let's just get rid of everything now. Let's chop away at one and we'll chop away at the other. So yeah, and I do you feel that that's affected your career somewhat, because obviously, like you say, you did a massive sellout of the Soho Theatre in January 2020, and then the pandemic went boom, there you go, nothing for nobody for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I do feel like it probably did. It probably impacted it negatively, in a way, because it did feel like, I was on the up, and I felt like a bit of momentum going, and I was kind of booking the tour in to tour the show. So it was frustrating, and it probably did knock it a bit. But again, you can never really say, really. Like, I think with these things, it's, you kind of go, did that impact it negatively? Probably. But then there's also other things that help you along the way that you don't realize, or things that hinder you in the other way you don't realize, and you can't. Again, similar to the TV stuff, I just felt like the pandemic was a thing where we just all had to get through, and you can't worry too much about how it impacts on your career or your stuff like that, because there was far more important stuff going on, really. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, well, I'm all right. I've not got long COVID. I'll take that. That would have been far more of a problem than my career. So I'm just like, oh well, there we go.
That's a great way to look at it.
I was going to say, it's nice to hear someone turn around and going, yeah, it was shit, but at least I'm not suffering really poorly like a lot of other people did. So I'll take the wins where I find them.
I mean, at least we're still alive. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think, I just think so many people seem to forget that when they go like, oh, it was really hard for people. It's like, yeah, it was really hard. It was really, really bloody difficult. But it's hard for a lot of people who are dead as well. Like, it was probably harder for them. Like, and I just feel like there always needs to be a bit of perspective where people just go like, it was a really tough situation, but my parents are still here. I'm really lucky they're still here. I think at the start of the pandemic, we were all worried about everyone who's over 60. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so, and if our government had somehow been even worse, we probably would have lost even more people. So it's that thing where I'm always just grateful for what we got, because I think if you're not, then you should probably pay more attention.
Yeah.
But I just had this weird image of Boris being like, is it Emperor Palpatine? Who's the good in Star Wars? And it's like all those care homes, people go, yeah, and he's sat there just like, good. But then he like pulls that mask over, and he's like that little wobbly fucking with his haystack on his head or whatever, being like, oh yeah, it's terrible, and it's really terrible what's going on. And it goes back again, takes all back off. He's like, and puts his hood back up. He's like the Sith Lord or something. I don't fucking know. That's what came into my head just then. Sorry, Jamie, you were asking a question.
I do love your digressions. They make me laugh so much. But I was going to say, there was a name you mentioned not long ago, and when I was doing my research for this, I saw a lot of comments from people saying that they discovered you thanks to Alexi Sale's podcast. Like, as a British comedian who also spoke out a lot about politics and the government, that must have been a real surreal moment to sit down and talk to Alexi, like, especially as you grow up in that early 60s. How did that come about?
I think literally I someone commented on my Radio 4 series saying, "Oh, you should go on Alexi's podcast." And then I just thought, well, I'd like to do that. So I just got in touch with his producer and said, "Hello, someone has told me I should go on Alexi's podcast. I'd love to do that." And he was like, "Oh yeah, we've heard about your show and people have said it's it's got some similarities between your series and Alexi's stuff. So we'd love to chat to you." And it was just that thing where the producer had probably heard of my work because of it being on Radio 4, and Alexi does stuff on Radio 4. And they said, "Yeah, we'd love to get you in to do the podcast." And then I kind of found myself sat opposite Alexi Searle, and it was utterly bizarre. You just go, "Oh God, you're that person from the telly." It was weird, kind of someone who you really kind of look up to and admire, and you don't really expect yourself to be on the same level as them, or for them to even know who you are. So it was kind of lovely and really nice that I got to chat to Alexi, and he's a lovely man, and he's lefty as hell still, which is great. There's not been many comedians who I think I said on the Alexi Searle podcast that he's a bit like the Jeremy Corbyn of comedy, in that he's had left-wing views since the 80s, and he's the only comedian who's not actually changed them throughout that time. He's not kind of lurched to the right or changed. He's kind of been consistent in those views. And I think the phrase Alexi said after I said that was, "Oh yeah, I'm like the." I said, "Oh, you're like the Jeremy Corbyn of comedy," and he went, "Oh yeah, but I've got a nicer ass."
So I grew up watching the young ones. If I was in front of Alexi Searle, I'd be like, "Just sing the Dr. Martin song. Please sing the Dr. Martin song for me. Do it now." And that's all I think of. But
I did. I mentioned. I don't think I mentioned that one to him. I did mention the Silly Noises song. I mentioned to him that he also does in the young ones, where it's just him going out. He does that one.
Yeah.
I mentioned that one to him because I think it just reminds me of my dad, because my dad just makes stupid noises all the time. And he laughed when I said that, which was really nice. And I was like, "Oh, good. You didn't just think I'm an idiot," which is nice.
But speaking of podcasts, something I did not expect to read when I was doing my research for this show. You host your own podcast, but not about comedy or politics. It's about snooker. Like, so I'm guessing you're a passionate snooker fan as well, then, sir.
No, yeah, I really love snooker. And I really enjoy it as a sport. But what I really love about it is that it makes sportsmen and celebrities out of often quite odd and weird men. They just go, "Oh, this guy, he's the world champion." You just go, "It's just a bloke like my dad." Like, what? I really like it. Like football, like all the big names, they have to be really like, "Oh, they're uber fit and sort of dedicated." And then, snooker, like a few years ago, Mark Williams won the world championship, and they were like, "Oh, how are you going to celebrate?" He's like, "Oh, I'm going to have a beer and get a kebab." And you're like, "Good, these are my sports people. These are what we need."
But snooker and darts, they're just like, they are the British people when it comes to sports.
Well, and I think that part of the reason, in that you said it was surprising. I think part of the reason I do that podcast is because it is nice for me to have a project I can work on that is more lighthearted and a bit sillier and a bit more just chat to my mate Joe. We just chat about snooker. We have silly in jokes along the way, and it's nice to do something that's really sort of casual and silly and lighthearted, that doesn't get too bogged down in me going, "What's the point of this?" It's just me going, "No, let's do a funny joke about Steve Davis's balls. That's fine."
Or that random stop all protest that jumped on the table and covered it in orange dust.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. There's so many weird, odd stories for a. And what I love about it is that it's a sport that a lot of people would just go, "Oh, that's quite a slow, boring sport." And you go, "Oh yeah, but do you remember when the pigeon entered the crucible?" And they go, "What? The pigeon?"
Fuck, all sorts of shit at that, did. It shit everywhere. The referee couldn't catch it. That's great. I think it's quite nice as well to take you away from the thing that you do all the time as well. It just like freshens things up a little bit, and you get to talk about the most randomest stuff. It's wonderful.
Yeah, well, and it's also that thing where I think there's a lot of people doing podcasts that could just be me ranting about politics or whatever. I don't feel that I'd go like, oh, that's a new idea. I think you always have to kind of be aware of, not treading the same ground and trying to think of new things. And yeah, as I said, it's just a nice chat with my mate, really, and it's good fun. And it's never going to be a podcast that makes us millionaires. It's too niche. It's far too niche. Like even the biggest snooker podcasts out there probably only get about 5,000 listeners. Do you know what I mean? So it's never going to be. I'm never going to be at the O2 Arena with it, but it's just nice. It's like a little passion project that we enjoy. So,
I would love for Sport Relief to grab you guys to do some commentary or something. That would be unbelievable, wouldn't it?
Oh,
yes.
If you know who does that, then tell them to get in touch. I'd happily do that.
I think that's a genius idea.
That'd be amazing.
You were talking earlier about you've done some acting as well. You were in a small short film called Tall Dark Friend, where you had trucks to the side of your face.
I was Timmy Truckface, yes.
You were, yes.
Sadly overlooked for Oscars contention that year.
What? How did you even stick? Because they were hefty mothers. How did you get them on your face?
It was some sort of makeup thing they put on it. I think at one point they said they might use PVA glue, but I don't know whether that would be good for your skin. I think it was some sort of sticky makeup stuff that you could put on the truck and just stick it to the side of your face and really, really push it down and get it stuck there. Like it stayed on for about 5 hours or something stupid like that.
Dude, what?
That's just walking around with a truck on my face.
What was the story about anyway?
It was about one man and his truck.
I was really expecting that. Fucked if I know.
No, it wasn't even about that really. It was just a scene in this short where they talk about all the weird people who do comedy, and they all have their own thing. So like that person's animated, that person's a tortoise, that person's deaf, that's a guy with a truck on his face, and it just cuts to me with a truck on my face, and that's kind of it. And then at the end of the short, another guy comes in with a truck on his face, and I just go, fuck off.
Has it never made you want to act?
I want to do a full film as Timmy Truckface, ideally.
That'd be amazing. Like the whole life story sort of thing. Really loves country music. Like just starts going down the M1. And I just like my life's on motorways. Don't know why I'm fucking American, but there we go.
I mean, it's been written into the character now. You're making it canon, so here we go.
Yeah. It should be like Australian or something. Just really random sort of accent for this It'd be great. I'd love it. I'd watch that. I'd watch the shit out of it.
Maybe it's even better if he doesn't even like trucks.
I'm actually more of a lorry guy.
Why have you all that truck on your face? Do you really love trucks? No, I hate them, mate. I hate them. It's a curse.
I don't know how to break it.
Oh god! Before we start wrapping this up, Tom, what are you working on at the minute? Like, what's coming up for you that you're allowed to start talking about?
Timmy Truckface the movie. That's going to
Yeah.
Well, what am I doing at the moment? I mean, I'm releasing the podcast, the Snooker Loopy Podcast. We're still trying to do that regularly. In terms of writing stuff, there's different kind of adaptations of like my Radio 4 show that I want to do, and I'm trying to work on them kind of quietly behind the scenes. I've got different ideas, like maybe a sitcom pilot or a short film or something. I'm trying to work on them and whether they'll come out and when they'll come out. I have no idea. I can't really say. It's not really in my hands. But I'm kind of working on them behind the scenes. And then in terms of stand-up stuff, I'm always writing, always performing, always doing stuff. And I might try and do more stuff on YouTube as well. I've always got like 50 ideas. Do you know what I mean? It's always that thing where people go, "Oh, what are you working on?" And I'm like, probably too much. I'm probably working on far too much at the moment. But there'll be something pop up on YouTube or on Twitter. Like, because I was thinking, because I basically my 2019 show, I never got to tour it. And part of me is going, maybe I'll try and tour it next year, because literally, like, just for me, it's not going to be something that now people, helps my career, because the show's already gone out on Radio 4 and stuff. But just for me, maybe touring it to say that I've done it, because it does feel like otherwise I'll always go, oh, I wish I'd toured that. Whereas I might just do it next year. That might be a thing I do. We'll see.
I'll be there. I'll go.
Do it. Why not?
100%.
Amazing. Where's your local venue?
Newport or Cardiff.
Newport or Cardiff. Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should just book it in Portsmouth and go, well, you said you'd be there, mate, so put the hours in.
Walk in. What you actually here for? I'd go. It's Portsmouth, I don't give a shit. I'll go Essex. Just put in one random city, like Loughborough or something.
Yeah.
It's really random.
I'm in Birmingham, so there's plenty of comedy places around here. So
there we go. One of those should be doable. I'll put them on the list. I'll try and get to both.
Yes.
But again, it would be very much me trying to find places that are fairly small, fairly cheap to hire. Because I don't have enough of a profile to do theatres or whatever or that, but I think it could just be quite fun and quite nice to do it. So we shall see.
Absolutely. Mr. Stevens, do you have any more questions for our wonderful guest?
I do. I do have one more. When you started this whole journey of wanting to get into stand-up, and then you end up having an Edinburgh Fringe show that just blows up and you get your own radio series stuff, did you ever think that this is where your life would be stayed, everything, that you would have achieved this already so early on?
I think the thing about any success in the arts is that you always are very grateful for any success you get, but you always want to be doing better. I want to be doing more. So, I'm always incredibly grateful that I've achieved what I've achieved and had like a Radio 4 show. Like, as I said, like my mum worked at Boots and Dad worked in a warehouse. So the idea of us being on the radio is insane, never mind having our own radio show. So I've always got that kind of humble backdrop where I'm really grateful for all the stuff I've achieved, but there's also always part of me that's like, yeah, but I've also worked my butt off, so I'd quite like to be doing even better. I'd quite like to be someone who is on telly, who is selling out the O2 or whatever. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever sell out the O2. I'm probably not mainstream enough, but do you know what I mean? I think you always have that thing where you want to be doing bigger and better, while also being appreciative of what you've got. So, yeah, I don't really know if that's an answer to your question. I can't work it out. Sorry.
That's okay. I mean, it is in a way. Like you say, you're very proud of what you achieved, but you feel you could strive to do more. And I agree with you. I think you could always strive to do more. They say that you should fight for your dreams, don't they? Because you'll achieve them. The more you put in, and it sounds like you work your fucking ass off as much as it is. I think you'll smash it. I think you'll get there.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. I needed this today. This has been lovely.
Well, you're so welcome. It's been great having you on. Like, I've really, really enjoyed it. Thank you for taking the time out to sit and chat to us tonight. It's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's been great fun. Really great fun. And I don't think I'm ever going to get over the idea of someone trying to make cement in their mouth while spinning in a circle, quite frankly.
I mean, yeah, you said, what are you working on, Tom? Odds are it's going to be a live action version of Dizzy from Bob the Builder.
I'm so excited to see it already. I'm already down.
people going, "Oh, what happened to Tom Mayhew? He used to be on Radio 4." They're like, "Yeah, he had a proper breakdown. He started trying to be a human cement mixer, and he made these vlogs of him spinning around, and we had to take him to the hospital, and it was." He said, "Can we fix it?" No, we can't fix Tom. He's fucked. He's absolutely just.
We got Neil Morris to do the voice though. It's a win, I guess.
Yeah. Oh. Mr. Mayhew, before we let you go, could we ask you any plugs, social medias, anything you want people out there to go and check out?
Usually for years, my main go-to was Twitter, but now Twitter's gone a bit evil, so I don't really know. But I'm still on Twitter a lot, or X they call it. Twitter, previously known as X, is what they always call it in the news because it's a stupid name. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook and Instagram or YouTube. Just whichever one you use, I'm probably on it. Just check me out there, and I'll do an update when I do an update.
Beautiful.
Tom, thank you so much, man. Appreciate your time. It's been absolutely great to chat to you, and thank you so much. Have an absolutely superb evening, and we'll be in touch.
Cheers, mate. It's been really lovely. Anything else you need from me, let me know.
Yeah, will do. Thanks, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Take it easy. Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. What a wonderful, wonderful, weird old conversation. Absolutely loved that one. I meant to mention in the preamble as well, a massive thank you to our friend at, oh my God, why does the actor's name always escape me when we go to talk about him? At Sam Elliott's Mustache on Twitter, X, for recommending Tom Mayhew to us. And a massive thank you to former guests Ethan Lawrence and Tom Stade for turning around and going, yes, these guys are great. Really appreciate that, gentlemen. Massively appreciate.
Yeah, it was absolutely wonderful. And again, Tom, thank you so much for taking the time to sit and chat with us. We look forward to seeing what you do in the future and obviously catching up somewhere down the line. Ethan, Mr. Stade as well, thank you so much. And Sam Elliott's Tash on X/Twitter. We really appreciate you telling him to come on here. So yeah, it's but the main thing is we really hope that you will enjoy listening to it as much as we did recording it.